A world where you have no name, only a number. Where love is forbidden. Where walls are made of glass, and the government watches your every move. Sound familiar? Before 1984, before Brave New World, there was We. And the man who wrote it? He was exiled, silenced, erased. But his warning lives on. This is the story of Yevgeny Zamyatin, the man who dared to imagine the first modern dystopia and how his forgotten masterpiece shaped the future of literature, and maybe even our world today. Before he became the father of dystopian fiction, Yevgeny Zamyatin was an engineer, a Bolshevik revolutionary, and a writer caught between two worlds, one of science, one of ideology. Born in 1884 in Tsarist Russia, Zamyatin was drawn to revolution. He joined the Bolsheviks, the radical group that would soon overthrow the Russian Empire. He was arrested in 1905 for his involvement in revolutionary activities. When the Bolsheviks seized power in 1917, they promised a classless, just and utopian society free from the oppression of the Tsar and capitalist elites. But by the early 1920s, his optimism had turned to deep skepticism. Zamyatin's disillusionment didn't happen overnight. It was a slow realization, but there were major events that made him see that the so-called utopia was really a dystopia in the making. At first, Zamyatin, like many writers, believed the revolution would bring intellectual freedom. But by 1918-1920, Lenin's government started controlling literature under Glavlit, the Soviet censorship office. Books and plays were banned if they didn't align with Bolshevik ideology. The press was strictly controlled, leaving no room for dissent. Artists were expected to serve the state, not question it. The Bolsheviks spoke of freedom for the proletariat, but by the early 1920s, their government had become authoritarian, centralized, and intolerant of dissent. Soviet secret police executed or imprisoned intellectuals who dared to question state policy. Workers who protested the new Soviet system were brutally suppressed, especially during the Kronstadt Rebellion in 1921, where former Bolshevik sailors rose up against Lenin's regime only to be massacred. Zamyatin saw that the revolution had become what it claimed to destroy, a rigid, oppressive regime that tolerated no individuality or freedom of thought. This realization directly shaped writing of We, which predicts a world where the state controls everything, even your thoughts, a world eerily similar to the future of the Soviet Union. Zamyatin knew the book would never be allowed in the Soviet Union. He arranged for We to be smuggled to the West for publication. This sparked outrage within the party and the Union of Soviet writers and led directly to the state-organized defamation and blacklisting of Zamyatin. He successfully requested for permission from Joseph Stalin to leave his homeland. He is considered as a first of many Soviet dissidents. In 1937, he died in poverty in Paris. The blueprint for all dystopias. We is set in a futuristic, mathematically precise society called the One State, ruled by an all-powerful leader known as the benefactor. Everything is based on logic, numbers, and absolute control. People don't have names, only numbers. Our protagonist is D503. Citizens live in glass buildings, so they can be watched at all times. Emotion, individuality, and creativity are illegal because they disrupt order. The One State believes it has achieved perfection, and soon it plans to expand this utopia to other planets using a giant spaceship, the Integral. The novel follows D503, a man who believes in the system. He is a loyal citizen, mathematician, and the lead engineer of the Integral, the spaceship that will spread the one state's order across the universe. But everything changes when he meets a mysterious woman, I-330. She is the opposite of D503, rebellious, free-spirited, and dangerous. She introduces him to illegal things like alcohol, smoking, and secret gatherings. Most importantly, she awakens his emotions, desires, and dreams, which he has never experienced before. For the first time, D503 begins to doubt the system. He develops a soul, a forbidden concept in the one state. He has irrational dreams which are considered a sickness. He falls in love. It is illegal because it creates exclusivity. I-330 takes D503 to a mysterious place called the Ancient House. It is one of the only buildings left from the old world before the one state. It has walls, not glass, old furniture, art, and history, things the one state has erased. This place represents the past, the world before total control. I-330 is part of a secret resistance movement, trying to destroy the one state and bring back freedom. D503 is torn. Should he remain loyal to logic, order, and stability, or follow his emotions into rebellion? In the meantime, the one state has developed a new surgery that removes the part of the brain responsible for emotions. Every citizen is ordered to undergo this operation, making them completely obedient forever. D503 is captured and forcibly undergoes the operation. His newly found emotions are erased. He turns against I-330 and the rebellion. He watches her being tortured, but he feels nothing anymore. The rebellion is crushed, and the one state remains in power. The story ends with D503 as the perfect citizen once again, his humanity permanently removed. Zamyatin wasn't just telling a sci-fi story, he was warning about the dangers of totalitarianism, surveillance, and blind obedience. His vision was so powerful. We is the first true dystopian novel, setting the foundation for 1984, Brave, New World, and countless others. Was George Orwell's 1984 truly original? The influence of We, the similarities between George Orwell's 1984 and Yevgeny Zamyatin's We are undeniable. Many scholars believe Orwell borrowed heavily from We when writing 1984, yet Orwell never directly acknowledged this. How similar are 1984 and We? Dystopian setting. We. The one state, a totalitarian regime where everything is mathematically controlled. 84, Oceania, ruled by Big Brother, where constant surveillance and propaganda keep people in line. Surveillance and control. We. Citizens live in glass houses so they can be watched at all times. 84, telescreens and the thought police monitor everyone's actions and thoughts. Love as rebellion. We. D503 falls in love with I-330, who introduces him to forbidden emotions and rebellion. 84, Winston Smith falls for Julia, their love serving as a political act against the party. The breaking of the protagonist. We. D503 undergoes the great operation, removing his emotions and turning him back into a loyal citizen. 84. Winston is tortured in room 101 until he betrays Julia and submits to Big Brother. Orwell read We in 1946, 3 years before writing 1984. Critics have noted that entire concepts, plot points, and themes are nearly identical. Orwell never publicly credited Zamyatin, but letters and notes confirm he read We before writing 1984. Some argue that Orwell refined and adapted the ideas, making them more relevant to his vision of Stalinism and totalitarianism. While 1984 has unique elements, like Newspeak, 2 Minutes Hate, and Room 101, the core structure and themes are remarkably similar to We. What's the verdict? Orwell likely borrowed heavily from we, though he adapted it for his own time and political fears. Zamyatin's "One state walked, so Orwell's big brother could run." Subscribe for more deep dives into the greatest dystopian thinkers. Next up, Aldous Huxley's vision of control through pleasure, the dystopia that feels good.